Carl Jung once pinpointed a unique group of minds whose mental framework stands out so sharply, so progressively developed, and yet so overlooked that they frequently spend their whole existence assuming they are inherently broken. He didn't merely label them uncommon. He viewed them as an essential threat to established norms. Within his confidential notes, Jung indicated that such people hold an elevated awareness, a degree of insight enabling them to perceive the mechanisms driving people's actions, the cycles shaping events, and the reality beneath the facades most maintain. If you're viewing this now, odds are strong you've sensed yourself as an outsider in your own existence. You've probably heard you're overly extreme, too profound, too perceptive, too scrutinizing, or too earnest. You've entered spaces and sensed the concealed feelings of those around you crash over you like an invisible force. You've observed how culture functions, the superficial dialogues, the repetitive habits, the frantic pursuit of worldly achievements, and experienced not merely disinterest, but a profound inner rejection. Jung realized this rejection isn't a mark of melancholy or interpersonal unease. It signifies mental advancement. Yet here's the risky reality that most mental health guides won't reveal. This heightened insight carries a steep cost. Having this character profile means bearing a load that the bulk of society won't ever grasp. You're not simply existing in reality. You're perpetually unraveling it. And such an endeavor can prove separating, draining, and hazardous unless you learn to handle it properly. Right now, we're set to break down the 8 clear indicators that you carry this exceptional mental design. We'll examine why Jung thought you serve as the remedy for a dormant society. And crucially, we'll reveal the particular risks you encounter, the hidden pitfalls that target those with your capabilities. Should you see echoes of yourself here, it's the moment to cease regretting your essence and begin commanding it. Since you're not damaged, you're just running on a separate framework from everyone else. The initial indicator is what Jung termed the holding of activated clusters with exceptional profundity. In contemporary language, you encounter affective states at a clarity that's nearly otherworldly. For 95% of folks, a feeling is a temporary occurrence, an event that strikes them, flows by, and fades away. However, for you, feelings aren't mere occurrences. They form vast terrains. When sorrow hits you, it's not simply a sad disposition. It's a plunge into the shared mourning of humanity's plight. When happiness arrives, it's an elevated moment verging on the divine. Jung noted that this fervor isn't a deficit in affective control, as numerous current counselors could wrongly assess. It's truly a type of precise sensing. You're detecting signals that others can't hear. Have you found yourself in a discussion where a person grinned and uttered all the appropriate phrases, yet you sensed a chill twist in your gut? You recognized without doubt they were deceiving or concealing profound bitterness. All others present were enchanted, but you felt queasy. That's not suspicion. That's your mental tools detecting the mismatch between their outward image, the veneer they display, and their inner darkness, the facts they conceal. This profundity renders you threatening to those dwelling in self-deception. You turn into a walking truth sensor. Without uttering anything, Your mere being insists on honesty. This explains why some individuals detest you right away without reason. They're not responding to your conduct. They're responding to your essence. They detect that you perceive them, and for anyone who's constructed their whole existence on pretense, being genuinely perceived is the scariest experience possible. The next indicator draws us further into the hazardous side of your character. You hold a profound inquisitiveness that declines to embrace the presented reality. Jung notably stated, "Society will inquire your identity, and if unaware, society will define it. Majority of individuals are satisfied allowing society to define their identity. They adopt the faith of their guardians, the views of their peers, and the principles of their culture without further consideration. They exist in what Jung named the unquestioned existence. You, though, are utterly unable to do so. Since childhood, you probably irritated educators and family with the inquiry, why? But you weren't seeking the workings of mechanisms. You sought the significance behind why matters stand as they do. Why adhere to these random guidelines? Why prioritize wealth above personal bonds? Why feign contentment amid pain? This quality positions you as a challenger. In a business environment, you're the individual highlighting moral defects in a lucrative strategy. Within kin, you're the one surfacing the concealed matters that all others have tacitly decided to overlook. Jung thought this engaged reasoning serves as a blade, slicing through the deception's binding culture. But this route is solitary. Upon removing the deceptions, you frequently end up isolated in the barren truth. You've likely sensed the weariness of being the sole person concerned with facts, while all others appear content to act out roles. You need to realize this unrest isn't a defect. It's your drive. It's the resistance generating the spark of your self-realization. The third indicator is deliberate autonomy, frequently appearing as the lone wolf symbol. Jung authored much on the path of self-realization, the mental voyage of detaching from the group to emerge as a complete distinct person. For many, this idea terrifies because the group provides security. The group affirms your being. Departing the group risks oblivion. But you learned young that the group was stifling you. You understood the cost of fitting in was your spirit. Thus, you mastered solitary paths. This doesn't imply you're unfriendly. Actually, you probably yearn for bonds intensely, but you'd prefer solitude over a bond demanding you sever aspects of your being. You've cultivated a self-sufficiency that daunts others. You lack need for ongoing outside approval to confirm your reality. You've created an inner world that nourishes you. This autonomy is commonly confused with conceit or detachment. Individuals cast their personal doubts onto your quietness. They presume you deem yourself superior, when truly you're merely complete within. You're at ease in the emptiness that horrifies them. Yet a snare exists here, one Jung cautioned against. Should you withdraw excessively? Should you erect barriers too tall? Autonomy can sour into seclusion. You hazard turning into the recluse who grasps facts but lacks anyone to impart them to. The aim Jung instructed is to exit the group, discover your essence, but then re-enter the community to distribute your discoveries. And regarding locating those who comprehend, I'd like to halt briefly now. If these indicators strike a chord, the fervor, the probing, the aloneness, it's simple to believe you're solitary. But you're not. A group exists of individuals awakening to this identical truth. If you'd like to link with this mental vanguard and guarantee you catch the thorough explorations we conduct into Jung's ideas, I encourage you to join the channel immediately. It's a minor step, but it's a message to the system and to your own self that you're emphasizing your development. We're constructing a refuge for intellects like yours, and we require your presence. Now, let's resume the breakdown with the fourth indicator, maybe the most enigmatic among them. Elevated instinctive sense, or what Jung termed insight through the subliminal. Jung stood among the initial researchers to regard instinct earnestly, not as sorcery but as a legitimate mental operation. For you, instinct isn't a mere guess. It's a rapid data handling mechanism. Your mind perpetually collects countless details, subtle gestures, vocal inflections, past trends, environmental shifts, and combines them into an instant realization. You anticipate events prior to occurrence. You comprehend individuals before formal introductions. This talent frequently acts as a burden. How often have you alerted a companion regarding a fresh associate just to hear your judgmental, then observed powerlessly half a year on as your forecast unfolded precisely as envisioned? This represents the seer syndrome. The weight of foreseeing tomorrow, yet remaining disbelieved, since you discern the path of choices. You reside in an alternate chronology from others. As they respond to the current instant, you're already managing the results arriving several phases ahead. This might render you tense, since you're always foreseeing collisions invisible to others. But it likewise renders you an expert planner. Jung thought this instinctive skill enables human endurance. You're the sentinel atop the structure. You spot the tempest prior to its onset. The risk here is you might detach from the immediate instant, dwelling wholly in potentials and overlooking the actuality of the present. Anchoring isn't merely a trend term for you. It's a vital tool. The fifth indicator is an unyielding desire for significance. This surpasses merely seeking a rewarding career. This constitutes a core longing. Jung notably remarked that, in every patient past 35, no issue ultimately escaped relating to securing a spiritual perspective on existence. He didn't imply faith in the rigid form. He implied a link to the boundless. For you, an existence lacking profound significance equals gradual demise. You can't just arrive and depart. You can't participate in bonds that are purely exchange-based. If engaged in labor that crushes your spirit, you don't merely lose interest. You become bodily unwell. Your form repels falseness. You've probably undergone phases of profound gloom, not stemming from biochemical disparity, but from inner famine. This sets you against a contemporary society built for shallowness. Culture claims joy derives from acquisition. Purchase the vehicle. Secure the advancement, view the program, dull the ache, but you perceive beyond the scheme. You recognize ease differs from satisfaction. This renders you threatening to the financial system since you resist simple inducement. You're motivated by inner measures of achievement, expansion, honesty, input over outer symbols of prestige. This desire commonly guides you into the profound gloom of the spirit. a span of utter breakdown where you reconstruct your existence from scratch, grounded in your truths, not societal demands. The sixth indicator stems directly from your expansion. You regularly surpass settings and individuals. Jung portrayed existence as sequences of endings and renewals. Most attempt to linger in identical life phases eternally, grasping the known. They retain identical companions from youth, identical convictions from early years, identical routines across years. You, though, are a being of transformation. You discard layers, and this hurts. You've likely awakened one morning, realizing you no longer communicate identically with your nearest companions. It's not absence of affection, it's inability to squeeze into the narrow container they've built for you. This pattern of discarding commonly results in spans of acute solitude. You're in the gap amid past self and emerging self. Individuals will charge you with inconsistency or betrayal. They'll claim you've altered like an offense. To you, it's supreme praise, but the hazard is remorse. You frequently bear substantial remorse for abandoning others, for violating the implicit pacts of inertia. You need to absorb Jung's teaching. You can't rescue others via remaining limited. Your expansion activates their doubts, but it likewise extends an offer. If they take it isn't your duty. The seventh indicator is what I term influential aura. Jung remarked, the encounter of two characters resembles the interaction of two compounds. If any response occurs, both change. But with you, the response is nearly assured. You exert a stimulating influence on others. Have you observed that unknowns reveal their innermost confidences shortly after encountering you? That individuals collapse emotionally nearby, then express regret, stating, "I'm unsure why I shared that." This happens because you innately provide room. Your absence of criticism and your ability for profundity form a pull that extracts honesty from others. You serve as a reflector. When individuals gaze at you, they view their own essences mirrored, their suffering, their promise, their deceptions. This constitutes a wonderful talent, but it's likewise the riskiest element of your character for your personal health. Since you're an accessible conduit, you draw the damaged, the wandering, and the vitality drainers. Self-absorbed types flock to you like insects to light, since your compassion feeds their self-importance ideally. Individuals avoiding their inner labor will latch onto you, expecting you'll perform it instead. Jung alerted about mental contamination. Taking in others' subliminal feelings until you're afflicted with their poison. You need to recognize that your compassion demands barriers, not merely unrestricted entrances. The eighth and concluding indicator is a widespread feeling of vague mission. You sense a draw toward a fate you can't yet label. Jung named this the forward, pulling aspect of the mind. The notion that we're not solely propelled by history, but drawn by tomorrow. You've perpetually sensed your presence as purpose. This isn't false superiority. It's an innate drive. You sense strain, unease, a notion that a masterwork resides within awaiting liberation. This mission seldom concerns fame or riches. It typically involves introducing novelty to reality, a fresh perspective, a novel recovery method, a new expression of creativity or insight. But since this mission often precedes its era, you lack guidance. You're forging paths through the mind's wilderness with a blade while others travel smooth routes. This breeds ongoing uncertainty. Am I irrational? Am I squandering my days? Is this merely imagination? Jung would reply, negative. The tension you experience is the pull of the string prior to the shaft's launch. You're in preparation. Now we confront the hazardous fact assured at the start. Why does this character profile prove risky? Jung pinpointed 3 distinct dark sides that pursue the mental vanguard. Without merging them, they'll ruin you. First comes the dark side of overestimation. Since you perceive beyond others, it's simple to succumb to superiority. You might turn into the overlooked prodigy who despises the masses. This divides you from people and converts your talent to a tool of harm. You need to recall that grasping the scheme doesn't elevate you above participants. It merely assigns a distinct position. Modesty serves as the weight preventing drift into self-absorption. Second comes the dark side of the sufferer. Since you sense global agony so profoundly, you could conclude it's your duty to rescue it. You offer your vitality, resources, and happiness for aiding others. You turn into the absorber, collecting poisonous remnants from kin or job. Jung clarified, if unable to aid yourself, you aid none. Offering without safeguarding isn't heroic. It's self-destruction. Third comes the dark side of immobility. You perceive numerous options, countless subtleties, and abundant possible results that you stall. The overthinking stall. You devote existence to examining, pondering, scheming, but never executing. You dwell mentally, constructing splendid fortresses aloft, while your tangible existence decays. Jung stressed that self-realization requires living, not mere contemplation. You must pull your realizations from above and embed them in earthly truth. So what's next? If you truly belong to this uncommon mental heritage, your path isn't designed for simplicity. It's designed for depth. You function as the defense mechanism of shared awareness. When reality grows overly fixed, too harsh, or too unaware, existence generates types like you to realign equilibrium. Your acuity isn't a fault. It's the detector spotting dangers to our essence. Your fervor isn't a blemish. It's the force needed to shatter historical bonds. Your isolation isn't penalty. It's the shell where you craft tomorrow. But you can't perform this if still battling your essence. The ultimate phase in your growth is embrace. Bold, unwavering embrace of your character. You must halt dimming your glow for others' ease. You must cease converting your essence into terms for superficial types to grasp. Rather, you must locate the kindred. You must construct the frameworks, the creations, the ventures, the bonds able to contain your vitality. You must safeguard your talent with the intensity of a guardian beast protecting treasure. Since reality presently balances on the brink of an awareness emergency, we're overwhelmed by data, yet famished for insight. We possess greater links than previously, yet isolation peaks. Reality doesn't require additional conformists. It possesses ample. Reality requires you. It requires your courage to remain intricate, profound, and authentic. It requires your posing of threatening inquiries. It requires your enduring the blaze of personal change and demonstrating survival of the inferno. Jung dedicated his path, charting the depths of the subliminal so voyagers like you avoid submersion. Now the chart rests with you. The inquiry shifts from what's amiss with me to what will I achieve with this strength. I'd love your input. Which among these 8 indicators strikes deepest? Is it the weight of compassion, the seclusion of autonomy, or the draw of an unlabeled mission? Post your experience below. Your account acts as a signal for those still lost in shadows believing they're isolated. And should you prepare to delve further into your mind's framework, if you seek knowledge on shielding your vitality from drainers, view the following clip appearing now. Urgent alert for sensitives. Identifying vitality thieves prior to damage. It's the hands-on endurance manual you've sought. Select it and we'll proceed this path. You're not damaged. You're on a superior framework. Embrace your essence without apology. If this resonates, hit like and subscribe to Wake and Win for more insights.